Hey, it's your friend Choice CJ. Here, let me fix my microphone real quick. Alright, I think that's better. Hopefully you guys heard all of that. This is our Week 13 match of the UBC Season number 3. This is actually the final match of the regular season, which is pretty exciting. We're going up against LevineMa and the Boston Keldeos. We are, of course, the Baltimore Oriolus. Levine's got a really crazy team, and we are going to be hopping into the battle here in just a moment, but I wanted to just walk you through the team real quick, because I haven't done even like a half-proper team builder in a little while. He has Victini, Diancie, Melodic, Landorus, Heliolisk, Celebi, Scavalier, Levani, Togetic, Umbreon, and Claydol. So, unfortunately, I don't really have great answers to a lot of his team. For example, Victini just destroys me completely and utterly. We don't really have a way to check that, so we're bringing a little bit more offense than what we normally do, I would say. And we'll just go ahead and hop right on into the team. I am going to be bringing a Calm Mind Reuniclus. I could bring Trick Room, but I have other plans regarding Trick Room later in the team. I thought Calm Mind would be good just because he doesn't have a ton of ways to really hit this thing hard, other than, like, obviously, like Victini. Psychic, because it hits most of the team pretty hard, and then Signal Beam to hit Umbreon. This does kind of get walled, like I said, by Victini, and it does kind of get walled by Scavalier. But I'm hoping to find other ways to deal with those Pokemon. We also have Lopunny with Fake Out, Return, High Jump Kick, and Ice Beam. Ice Beam is in case we are running up against a defensive Rocky Helmet Lando T. We can hit that thing up for more damage than Return would do after the Intimidate. And also we don't take any Rocky Helmet damage. So that's pretty nice. We have enough speed to outspeed both Heliolisk and Diancie. So that's the Lopunny set this week. We have a defensive Zapdos, Volt Switch, Hidden Power Ice, Heat Wave, and Defog. I think I might actually make this Charty Berry. Just because that sounds like fun. This is going to be a good switch in for things like Escavalier, for Landorus. It's also going to be important for getting Hazards away this match, because he has Sticky Web, and I really don't want to be subjected to Sticky Web if I can help it. Heat Wave is to hit the Escavalier, Hidden Power Ice for Landorus. Volt Switch just because, you know, Initiative is good. It can help us bring in one of our other Pokemon. We have a specially defensive Benjamin, Stealth Rock, Flash Cannon, Hidden Power Fire, and Toxic. Flash Cannon instead of something like Gyro Ball, because I don't want to take recoil damage on a Rocky Helmet Landorus. And also, it should let us bring Disnature instead of minus speed. With this, we can be like in a much better position to outspeed a potential Scavalier, hit it up with a Hidden Power Fire. It's not going to do a lot, but you know, every little piece of chip damage helps. I was thinking about running Culver Berry on this to, and I think I might. Let's go ahead and do that. Might as well. To take a knockoff from someone like Landorus or that Escavalier, just a little bit better. And then Toxic is to hit things like Landorus that we're going to have trouble wearing down. And if it gets bounced back, it doesn't matter, because like bounced back by Magic Bounce from Diancie, it doesn't matter because we're immune to Toxic, so that's nice. We have a Choice Scarf, Sneasel, Knockoff Pursuit, Iron Tail, and Icicle Crash. This is going to be hopefully the best way to check Victini offensively. If he brings Colberberry Victini, I'm just totally screwed. I just don't have another way to deal with that thing. I guess if I brought this plus Hippowdon, it would work, but Hippowdon still doesn't like taking things like Energy Ball, so we just don't have a good matchup versus that. But yeah, then Iron Tail is for Diancie, Icicle Crash is for Landorus, and things like that. And then last but not least, we do have a Trick Room Life Orb Gardevoir with Moonblast, Shadow Ball, and Hidden Power Steel. He doesn't have a lot of great Fairy resists, in my opinion. It's basically just a Scavalier and Victini. And we can hit the Shadow Ball, use Shadow Ball against the Victini. I was still a little bit worried about his Scavalier. Maybe we'll make this Hidden Power Fire. As you can tell, I've thought long and hard about this, right? We will go with Hidden Power Fire. Like, I wanted to put Hidden Power Steel just to hit the Diancie a little bit harder, but we should be able to hit the Diancie pretty hard anyway with something like Moonblast. Diancie doesn't have great defenses, so if we can kind of weaken his team in the late game, come with the Gardevoir and hit Trick Room, and get 4 turns of action with this set, I'll be feeling pretty good. And this team, just in general, like the sort of bulky teams I've been bringing lately aren't going to match up that well against him, because like I said, I don't have answers for a lot of his defensive Pokemon. And I just feel like I've been stuck in a little bit of a rut with this team, where I've been bringing really defensive sets. And I wanted to focus a little bit more on offense. I do have good offensive capability on my team, I just haven't been utilizing it. So that's going to be the team. We are going to hop into the battle in just a moment, and I hope you guys are looking forward to it. Alright, so here we are with our Week 13 battle, as I said, against Levine. He has brought a team of Celebi, Diancie, Claydol, Victini, Umbreon, and Melodic. So I'm really relieved that he doesn't bring something like Landorus, because that's just a big threat to my team. Same with the Scavalier. They kind of mixed the Colberberry on my Bronzong, sort of worthless, so you guys saw I changed that at the last minute. But it's okay. Before we hop into this match, I do just want to give a little bit of a backdrop, because this is the last week. So Levine and I are both guaranteed playoffs, so there's a chance that either of us, if we win this match, could potentially get the second seed behind Adam, who's the first seed. And that would net us a bye week, so it's 6 teams, and the top 2 get a bye. So if Levine wins, he pretty much gets the seed no matter what. If I win and I win by 4-0 or better, I'm going to end up tied with Mence, but since I was lucky enough to beat Mence in a head-to-head matchup week 1, we would actually get the 2 seed. So it's definitely, there's something to be played for here. Even though at the end of the day it doesn't matter that much because neither of us can get knocked out of playoffs, but the bye week would be convenient. So, I'm definitely going to be giving this my best shot, but if we don't win, I'm not going to be devastated. But I do want to win, not only for the bye, but just because I'm a competitive person in general. And I don't like to lose. So, looking at his team, I'm expecting his Diancie lead, most likely. And so I'm going to leave him my Bronzong. And even if he leads with something like Claydol or Celebi, Bronzong's going to match up pretty well. The only thing that doesn't really match up that well against is the Victini. Even if he wants to bring in Umbreon, I can Toxic that thing turn 1, and the Synchronize is not going to be able to Toxic us back. And so Bronzong is looking pretty important. I also think that Calm Mind Reuniclus actually has a lot of potential in this match, if we can get rid of the Victini. And Trick Room Gardevoir definitely can clean up, and because he just doesn't have a resist to it on his team besides Victini. But if we can get a Stealth Rock hit on that thing, even 2 would be great. We should be able to kill it with Shadow Ball with our Life Orb Gardevoir. So without further ado, let's go ahead and hop on into this and see what happens. He does go ahead and lead the Diancie versus my Bronzong. I'm going to click Toxic here, because if he decides to switch on out, it'd be nice to hit something with a Toxic. I could go for Stealth Rock, but it's just a lower risk play to go for the Toxic, because if I mispredict with the Stealth Rock, then he gets Stealth Rock up on my side of the field, which would obviously be bad. He's going to bring in his Celebi. I'm going to click Stealth Rock because I don't think there's a lot that this can do to me. But he does show the Nasty Plot, and so I'm not necessarily worried about what the Celebi is going to do to me, but I'm worried about him potentially baton passing into something. As he does get up to +3, I bring in the Sneasel because I figure this is a pretty big threat to the Celebi. I just go for Knockoff, not thinking that it's going to kill necessarily, but just because I want to get some damage off on it or whatever comes in. He ends up hard switching out into the Melodic, and I knock off that thing's leftovers, which is great. The leftovers are really important for the longevity of this Mon. So now, expecting his Claydol, I am going to bring in my Sneasel, just because the Claydol would have been a great stop to the Volt Switch. And it's also pretty much a free opportunity for him to get away hazards. Like, he might have to take a Hidden Power Ice, but for him it's worth it to get rid of the rocks, because his Victini is so important. But he doesn't want to take a big fat knockoff, so he switches out and I hit him with the Pursuit as he goes into the Melodic. I bring in my Reuniclus. Zapdos might have been a better play, but that might have been a little obvious, so I thought this was like maybe a good middle ground. And I just kind of want to see what set he is. He goes for Diamond Storm and it doesn't do a whole lot, but then he follows up with a Moonblast, which does a ton. I do recover, thankfully, but at this point I realize I have no business being in here. I probably shouldn't have stayed in even on the first turn. But I figured, if I could just get damage on this Diancie, I'm going to set the stage for my Gardevoir to sweep later. The Reuniclus can potentially win if the Victini's out of the way, but I'm not that worried about it. But yeah, with the Bronzong facing down the Diancie, I'm expecting his switch, so I go for Toxic, hit this Melodic, weakening its longevity even further. As he reveals to be Coil, So this is sort of where I was talking about, like, you know, we both want to win this match, but at the end of the day, we are both guaranteed playoffs. So he takes a Volt Switch for me, goes for Avalanche, and I bring in my Reuniclus, just because that's something that, you know, can take pretty much any hit that this wants to go for. Reuniclus was actually a bad play, though, because on the following turn, he's got a free opportunity to spin here. And, you know, I'm going to be able to kill it with my Reuniclus with the Signal Beam, which is great, but the rocks are no longer up, and we might have a hard time finding a good opportunity to set up. And so this, yeah, the Sayanci's going to come in here. Bronzong is the safe switch in. I can't really click Stealth Rock here because I don't know what he would want to bring in, and, you know, just because it's such an obvious play. So he goes for Moonblast, hits my Bronzong, and I go ahead and hit it with a Flash Cannon. Victini is going to be able to easily revenge me, and now my Bronzong's gone. Our rocks can no longer go up on his side of the field, which is kind of a bummer. I do bring in my Sneasel, go for a knockoff, and do a clean chunk of damage to it, which is great. And he's going to easily kill me with a Searing Shot. A crit obviously mattered. No, I'm just kidding. So we're at a 4-0 here. And as I said at the beginning of the battle, if we could win 4-0 or better, that actually gets us to the 2 seed. So, you know, things are looking very strongly in my favor now that I'm up to 4-2. But I really want to try and win with this differential intact. So we're going to have to see how that goes. Brings in Celebi, goes for Baton Pass after taking a big return. Goes for the Protect with the Umbreon, which I should have seen coming. And I unfortunately take a ton of recoil. So I don't want my Lopunny to die to more high jump kick recoil. So I bring up my Gardevoir, which should be able to clean up anyway. And I go for Trick Room. I go for Moonblast, trying to hit that Umbreon, and he makes a good play and switches into Celebi, which is going to be able to get back up to the amount of HP that it needs to live the next Shadow Ball, as you guys are going to be able to see. It takes only like 51% from the Shadow Ball, and he can just recover on up here. So I'm just going to be clicking Shadow Ball and hope for either a crit or a special defense drop, and that's actually what I get, is a Spadef drop. And so he's going to most likely want to switch out here, which he does, and I unfortunately don't predict that and just click Shadow Ball. I could have potentially just won the game if I clicked Moonblast there. I wouldn't have killed this thing, but it would have gotten into a very low amount of HP. So now thinking that if this thing has just like foul play, my Reuniclus can take it on, get up to a good number of boosts, and be able to kill both Umbreon and Celebi. But he actually turns out to be Curse, which, you know, is sort of a meme set, but in this situation it actually is really, really good. Because there's just not a lot that I can do to him with my Reuniclus, like, without being threatened out. So he goes for the payback, brings me down to a low amount of health after I get a crit and a confusion, which is pretty nice. And what's really nice too is that I actually outspeed due to the speed drops from Curse. He breaks out of confusion, goes for a Wish, which is a good play. I go for Calm Mind as he goes for payback. Gets back up to a good amount of HP. And, you know, unfortunately, I don't think there's a way that I can preserve my 4-0 at this point. So he is going to go for the payback and take us out. And I am going to bring in my Gardevoir because it can go for Moonblast. And as he goes for Protect, just to try and get up to a good amount of HP. And I think he switches out. No, he just leaves the Umbreon in to go down and leaves just the Celebi. And so because I don't have any chance of getting the second seed at this point, there's no point in preserving differential. All that I need to do is just make the best play to guarantee any sort of win. And that means going for Shadow Ball and spamming that, trying to keep him at as low a range of HP as possible so that my Lopunny can revenge with a combination of Fake Out plus Return. So he is going to be recovering, and again, even if I die to Life Orb recoil eventually, I don't care. Luckily for me, I do get the Spadef drop, which means that he will die to the next Shadow Ball even if he recovers, or most likely anyway. So he decides that he just wants to get another kill and goes for Psychic, takes out my Gardevoir, and my Lopunny can come in and revenge. So that is going to be the game. It will be a 2-0 victory for us, which leaves us with a record of 9-4 for the season. Not too shabby. Not too shabby. And now we will be picking up with the first round of the playoffs in the coming week. And we might, it should be starting this following weekend, but there's a chance that we take a week off. I don't really know exactly what the deal is. It's going to be tough for me because I'm going to be traveling this upcoming weekend for a wedding. So I'll keep you guys posted as to what the plan is. And I hope you guys are excited to watch the Baltimore Oriolus in the UBC playoffs once again. It's definitely going to be a tough battle. There's a bunch of teams who are guaranteed for playoffs. So the Kansas City Kakunas, the Toronto Lux Rays, myself, the Boston Keldeos. There's one remaining playoff seed to be. Oh, and the Hog Haluchas, coached by Mortal Ments. The 5 of us are guaranteed to be in. We're guaranteed even going into this week, if I'm not mistaken. The only spot that's up for grabs is between the Chicago Flock and the Broadway Blastoise. So depending upon the results of those matches, the final seed will be determined. So I encourage you guys to go check out everybody's match, so that way you can see who wound up in the playoffs, and then that way you guys can get hyped for some elimination action here. It's going to be 3 seed versus 6 seed and 4 seed versus 5 seed, I assume. And I think I'm going to end up with the 3 seed. We'll definitely let you guys know in the team builder for the next week. So anyway, thanks for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed. Make sure you check back to my channel for more Pokemon content. And until the next time, I will see you all later.